Yeah. So we are looking our object-oriented programming. So we called object-oriented programming system. So Java programming language support object-oriented programming. So we are having class, and with the help of class we can create object. So object-oriented programming support the object. So we can create the object with the help of class. So any programming language that support our object, so we can achieve encapsulation. We can achieve encapsulation. We can achieve our polymorphism. We can achieve inheritance. We can achieve abstraction. So it is a oops feature. So our Java support this oops feature. So encapsulation say our data always should be binded with a method. So we don't have to expose data directly. Just we have to always we should expose our data with the help of method so that we can control over the data. So if you are defining any class, and after defining any class, if we are exposing our data so directly, so anybody can change. So in the project level we have to control over our data, so we have to just our we have to apply encapsulation. So just we have seen, yeah. So we have written the class, and we have written some private member, and we have written our getter and setter. So with the help of getter and setter, we can control over data. So anybody want to set their data, so we will apply some condition while creating the object. If we want to prevent for object creation, if any wrong value there or our validated value there, so while learning we can put anything, but at project level always we have to control over the data, and we have to prevent if something is wrong. So we apply some validation over the data. So encapsulation says our data member and your data and method should be binded. So there should be some method. So oops encapsulation says our data member and our variable should be binded data member and method. Then next concept come inheritance. So what is the purpose of inheritance? So purpose of inheritance is reusability. So lot of data and method we use in our application level. So some common code is there. So we don't have to write same code again and again. So instead of that, we can apply inheritance. So basically, we are having two types. One is a relationship, and another one is our is a relationship. So with the help of is a inheritance, we can reuse the object. We can reuse the data. So it comes under our inheritance. So for achieving inheritance, what we have to do, we have to apply extend keyword. So with the help of extend keyword, we will get all the feature of parent class to child class. So it is called inheritance. So we have seen a multiple type of inheritance, single inheritance and multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance. So only this kind of inheritance will be allowed. One class should be extended. Multiple class we cannot extend in our Java language, because they want to simplify. If a multiple class we are extending, and different method will be there with same name, so it will be part of the inheritance, so our compiler will confuse. So when Java language developed, so they have overcome the issue in our C programming language and C plus programming language, and they have simplified the language. So they have removed the concept of the our multiple inheritance in C plus plus. We can see, so single level inheritance is allowed when multiple classes we are performing inheritance. So we are having multiple types, like we have seen multi-level, multiple, hybrid, inheritance. So only one class we can extend, so keep your mind. But similarly, if you are performing inheritance in the interface level, so we can extend multiple interface we can extend. So interface level there is no issue, because under the interface method will be undefined, so there won't be any ambiguity if same method name is there in different interface. So because of interface is unimplemented, so there is no issue. So it is allowed for interface level, but class level it is not allowed. And uh, our class responsibility, so when we create the object, we define the class, but interface, when we create the contract, when we create the specification, some rule, so we use the interface. So interface purpose is different, class purpose is different. With the help of interface, we cannot create the object, we can just specify something and we have to implement. But with the help of class we can create the object. So we have seen few things in the our inheritance level. So we have put our final in front of method, so we cannot perform inheritance if our method is a final. If we are putting a final in front of class, so we cannot perform inheritance. If we are putting a final in front of method, we cannot perform method overriding. So method overriding concept comes under the our dynamic polymorphism. So dynamic polymorphism, we are looking our dynamic polymorphism. So we are having uh, oops concept polymorphism. So we are having two type of polymorphism. One is our static, another one is a dynamic. So anything is a dynamic means a runtime. So something will be happening at a runtime. So it is our fundamental part. So it should be very strong, so that we will strong in our technology. So when we will learn a servlet, JDBC, so polymorphism related things will be there. So you will be confused until unless you are not strong in this area. Oops concept is very important. What is going on? Lot of thing in the oops concept. So in the interview, they will ask about the oops concept where you have used in your project. So you have to tell, in this area we have written this code, in this area we have written this code. So single line answer we have to tell. Don't explain too much. They will understand you have if you have worked. So encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism. So under the polymorphism, we are having compile time, and runtime we are having dynamic polymorphism. So our overloading method overloading comes under our static polymorphism. So we are defining same method name with multiple signature, so that if our functionality is same, but our uh, based on parameter, yeah, type of parameter, our just our functionality will be same, but the number of parameter, type of parameter, we cannot give different name. So instead of that, we can put same name, but there should be some identifier. So under the method overloading, we can put same name, but for identification, our number of parameter or type of parameter should be different. So our programming language says don't write too much method with different name. Try to put same name method. So it is a we can say modularity. So our class purpose will be according to our class purpose. We have to define our method. So our method purpose is same. So we should have just some identifier, so we can reuse the same method name. So we can write a multiple method. So this is our we are putting our maximum value. So we are putting maximum value with the help of two parameter, with the help of three parameter. So number of parameter is same. So we can put our type of parameter. So there should be some identifier. So we called method signature, our method name plus method parameter. So it is a method overloading comes under the static polymorphism. So this thing will check over the compile time. It is called our method overloading. So we can see lot of overloaded method is there. So I have just explained this println method. So Java community have given this print method. So you can see multiple print method over there. So if you want to print a boolean, you want to print a character, you want to print a double float, so you can see all the method is there with same name. So purpose is different. A particular method will print integer, a particular method will print long and string. So it will allowing all that things. So that's why we can print anything. We can print a number, we can print some string, because of print is a overloaded method. So it is our method overloading. Then we have seen method overriding. So overriding comes under our inheritance level. So when we are writing any method and we are rewriting method under our child class. So we called our method overriding. So in this case, under our method overriding, so we are defining any class. So one class is our parent class, and we are overriding, we are rewriting under our child class. So it is our method overriding. So we can create the object of this particularly child class like that. So we can create the object, understand this thing. So we can create the child class object and we can hold with our same class reference. So this syntax is fine. Apart from that, we can create our child class object. So we can hold our parent class object. So this two syntaxes is there where we can create the object and we can hold with our object reference, and we can create the object we can hold with our parent class of parent class reference. So you can hold child object with our parent class reference variable. So this syntax will be there. So we can write this syntax and we can write this syntax for creating the object. So this is our, if we are having class, we are having class. So these two syntaxes we can use. So similarly over the our parent level. So if we are having interface and child level, we are having the class. So in this case, we perform implementation. We won't perform inheritance. We perform implementation. So in this case, if we will create the child class object, we can create child class object, or we can hold this object with our parent interface reference variable. So currently this is an interface. So this is also allow. Understand this syntax because all design pattern and our under the our framework loosely couple thing will be happening because of this syntax. If we are implementing interface, so we can hold the reference of our parent class. So we can hold. So these two syntaxes is there. So one class to class and another one our interface to our class implementation. So usually this is a thing we can do. So for assigning our child class reference to our parent class or parent interface, so usually we called it is our upcasting. So this thing usually we say our upcasting. Upcasting means what? Upcasting means if we are assigning our child object to parent reference variable. So we called upcasting. So upcasting means we are assigning our child object to our parent. So two terminology will come, upcasting and downcasting. So let's understand. So yesterday we have created some class. So for our dynamic binding, so we have created one class. This is our parent class, and another one will be our child class. So under the parent class, we have defined this show method, and under the child class, we have defined this show method again. So there is no issue. So we can create the object like this. So one is our child object. So same class object we can create. So we have already created this kind of object, but we have created the object, and our reference variable is our parent object. So what will be happening when we create the object with this syntax? So our child class object will be created. So this is our parent, this is our child. So we have to visualize this syntax, how our object will be created. So we are having our parent class reference, and this is our child class. So our object will be created of our child class. So you will see. So, so this is our child class. So under the child class, so child is our subclass. So parent class object will be there, because we are creating the our subclass or child class. So parent will be created as well. So we are having a show method inside the our parent as well as under our child, because we have perform our method overriding. So we have rewrite the method. So we are having one our particularly reference variable is parent. So this reference variable will point this particularly object. So this particularly object it will be called, because our reference variable is pointing our parent class method. So it will be called. So basically what will be happening? So when we call this show method, so we we will call our parent show method, because this is our parent reference variable. Sorry, our reference variable is a parent, so it will point our parent. So our object will be child. That means so it will refer our parent object, because our reference variable is parent. So when you call the show method, So this show method will be called. So method will be our this show method. It should be called, but at our runtime, our controller will jump and it will call our child class method. It will call our child class method. It won't call a particularly parent class method or super class method. It is called dynamic polymorphism, runtime polymorphism. So our controller will jump. So you will expect your parent class method should be called, but it won't call. Runtime, our subclass method will be called, it will be jump. So this is our runtime polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism. So runtime, you will expect your parent reference is there, so parent will be called. So but our parent won't be called, our child method will be called. So you will see, so I will call my parent show method. So you can see this show method will be there. So you can see this is our method definition. So our class name, you can see this is our parent class. So it is showing under parent. So parent, this show method showing under a parent class, but our output is coming from the child class. So our controller is jumping at runtime. So you are expecting your output should come from the parent class. So if we have perform our method overriding, so our controller will jump. It is called dynamic polymorphism. So dynamic polymorphism means what? If anything under a parent, if we have a performing method overriding and we are using this syntax, it is called upcasting. So upcasting means we are up, we are assigning our subclass object in the parent class reference variable or reference or interface reference under the interface. If parent is your reference, so we can put, it is called upcasting. So upcasting will be performed automatically. So if we are having object of child class and we are passing this object under the reference of our parent class, so this concept comes under the our upcasting. So I create this example again because we have to understand upcasting, downcasting. So we are having this parent method. So under the our parent method, we are performing the show. So this is our method. So we can write this is our show method. Our business logic will be under our parent. So we will perform a method overriding. So we will create another class child. So very simple classes I am writing, but you will get some complex classes with different all the concept together. So this is our child class. So we are extending this child class under the. So this is our child class. So we can create the object of this child class. So we are performing upcasting. So upcasting means what? Object will be our child class, but our reference variable will be our parent class. So we called upcasting. So under the public static void main. So public static void main is a one method. Our JVM starting point is public static void main. So we can perform our upcasting. Upcasting means what? Our reference variable should be our parent class and our object will be under our child class. So we will call. So we will call our parent reference variable. So our object method will be called. So you are calling parent reference variable. So our this particular reference variable will be show. So if you see show method, so our it will be defined. This method comes under the parent class. So you can see this is a class name, but your output will come from the from child class. So I am calling parent class, but at runtime our controller will jump to our child class. So we are expecting our parent particularly parent class object will be there. Parent class object method will call, but our controller is jumping. So it is called a dynamic runtime. It is changing the decision. So this is our polymorphism, dynamic polymorphism. So this concept we say our upcasting. So upcasting means what? We are casting our child object to parent reference. So we can write this syntax like this. So we are having the child class. So we are having our child class. Then we are having one reference variable of the our parent class. and we are passing this reference variable. So this syntax also allow, then we can call. So this is our child class. We have passed the reference under our parent class. So it is called our upcasting. So this is also allow, no issue. So we can write directly or we can write like this. So it is also our upcasting. So upcasting says we are having one class and we are assigning our reference variable of our parent class. So upcasting means what? Our this is our parent class and this is our child class. So we are performing upcasting means what? We are performing our upward direction. Reference variable will be our parent class and our object will be our child class. So whole thing will be created under the child parent as well as our child. So but as a reference variable, we are casting in our parent is a reference and this is our child, our object. So we are calling our upcasting. So upward direction we are trying to cast. We are casting under our parent class. So this is our things about our upcasting. So we have to perform downcasting. So if we are talk about upcasting, so whenever we will call our parent method, so our controller will jump to the our child particularly child method, but our requirement is like that we have to call our parent class method, so we don't have to call our child class method. So in this case we have to perform downcasting. So we have to get the object of our child class reference. So we can call, so this object parent class object inside our child class object, because we are performing inheritance, but I want to call this show method. I don't have to call this show method because of dynamic polymorphism. So we have to do something for that. So we are having reference variable of our parent class, but object is a child class. So we are our controller is jumping. So in this case, under the our downcasting, what we can do? So I write one syntax, then I will explain what is the meaning of the syntax. So I have written this syntax. So this is our downcasting. So I have written this syntax inside the particularly our this is our parent reference variable. So I want to cast downside. So I want to get my child class reference. So we have to apply this kind of downcasting. So we can access our child class method directly if we are uh, applying this particularly downcasting. It is our downcasting. So if we are applying our upcasting, so we can write this syntax directly. So this syntax directly we can write. So we can have our reference variable is a parent class and object is a child class. But I want my object reference should be there so that I can access this object directly. So in this case, we have to apply our downcasting. So what will we do? So upcasting will be implicitly. So we can write this syntax directly. But downcasting means what? This is our parent class and this is our child class. So this is our parent class, this is our child class. So upward direction, if we are creating the object child class and particularly this is our child class and we are casting under our parent class upward direction. So it is called our upcasting. So we can perform upcasting directly. So there is no issue. So your parent class reference will be there and child class object will be there, but you can write the syntax. But your reference variable will point your parent class object. So if we have perform method overriding, so always your parent method controller will jump under the your child class. If you haven't perform overriding, so always your controller will call your parent class method only. So if we are having one more method like display, so I am putting one more method display. Yeah, so this is our display method and child side I am writing one method print method. So so if we are having our upcasting concept, so you will see this is our upcasting. So we are performing our child class object and the parent method will be there. So under the parent, you will see display method will be there and show method will be there. But print method is not there because our object is created like that. So we have perform upcasting. Our child object will be created, but your reference variable is pointing inner class, inner object. So if we have applied method overriding, controller will jump, no issue. But if we haven't applied method overriding, so your display method is a part of your parent object, and print method is a part of your this child object. So your reference variable is pointing our parent because of upcasting. So you can call show method. So show in the both the classes. So controller will jump and our child class object, our method return will be there. But if you can call a display method, but you cannot call this print method with the help of this parent reference. So what we have to do? So if we want to uh, point this particularly object so that we can access this printer method, so we have to perform our downcasting. So if there is some upcasting, so we have to perform downcasting. So actually we can create a object directly, no issue. We can create a child class object directly and we can access our printer method. There is no issue. But sometimes we have to perform these things. What the things I am going to do? So this is our upcasting. I have to perform downcasting. Downcasting means what? So we have to cast your this is our parent, this is our child. So we have to cast, we have to point our child class object. So what we have to do for applying the our downcasting? So upcasting will be directly, but performing the downcasting, upcasting should be there. So downcasting we can do, but upcasting should be there. We cannot downcasting directly. So we are having upcasting. So this is our upcasting. So this syntax is upcasting. So I want to get our child class object from the our this is our upcasting. So I want to get this child class object. So this child class object I will perform our downcasting. So this is my child class, this syntax, this is my parent class reference. So this will this syntax what will be get with the help of this syntax? So one reference variable will be there. So we have perform downcasting. So our upcasting should be there. So our reference variable pointing our parent class, this particularly parent class reference. So what will we do? So we have applied downcasting. So after applying downcasting, our particularly this particularly reference variable, this particularly reference variable will change. So it will refer to our child class object. So this particularly reference, it will point our child class object. So if we have performed our downcasting, so we are casting our downside. That means we are performing our reference. We are performing our this is our downcasting. So we want to get this print method, so we have to perform a downcasting. So already upcasting is there, so we have to use this syntax, and we have to get your child class reference, so that we can access this particularly whole object. So then you will call this show method. So actually this child class show method will be there. So this is our downcasting. So for achieving a downcasting, upcasting should be there. So this is the thing we are writing straightforwardly, but at our technology level, framework level, sometimes we have to get all the feature of our subclass, child class, but we are having reference variable of our parent class. So we have to apply downcasting in this case. So I will explain where this concept come. So this is our whole about our downcasting. So upcasting means what? We are passing our object under our parent class reference variable, and downcasting we have to get our child class reference. So for achieving downcasting, upcasting should be there. So we can access this print class, this print method, because of we have apply our downcasting. So print method will be there. So this is the thing about our upcasting and downcasting. But at our project level, we usually don't override the method. It is not a good practice. So where we use our dynamic polymorphism, we use this dynamic polymorphism under our interface level, where we are having one interface and we are having multiple implementation class, and based on our requirement we have to change our decision. So in last class, what I have explained about the interface, so I have created one interface is our car interface. So you can consider as a parent, you can consider as a parent, but parent not a, this is not a class, this is our interface. So interface level, we can just create the method, we can create the contract. So there will be some implementation class. So we have specified the things, we have specified some rule. So in the software, if we are defining the rule, so in the form of interface, we can define the rule. So in the form interface, we can define the rule. So we have just defined the method name. So all car companies are following our rule. So they are implementing their details inside this method. So anybody want to get our a particular car detail. So we have written this particularly one factory method. So factory method means what? Any method is having return type is another object is called factory method. So I will explain this thing in design pattern. So factory method means what? Factory method is having a factory of object. It could be same class object, it could be different class object, but we are having the object. So in this method, if you see this method, in this method we are having a few object. So I am creating the BMW, Honda, Maruti object. So this particularly three object. So by diagram we can understand. So one object for our BMW, one object for our Honda, and one object for our Maruti. So this object is holding the information. So we are having the information, but what I want information of our BMW. So I want to access this object detail. When I want to this car detail, so I will access this object detail. If I want to get detail this Maruti, so I want to get this object detail. So we are having one factory method. So factory method means what? If any method, so we are having four type of method. So some method should have a return type, some method should not have return type. If we are having return type, and return type is a type of object. If we are returning some object, so object means what? It is a comes under our reference variable, non-primitive data type. So we are just returning some object, but we can't say our object will be BMW car, or object will be Honda car, or object will be our Maruti car. We can't say. If you are writing the method, so your object should be either BMW or Honda or Maruti. So if your object like that, so this particularly method should return Maruti class object. So only Maruti class object should be there, but we can't say what object will be created, because we are creating BMW, Honda, Maruti based on some condition. So based on some condition we are accessing. So we cannot write a particular object reference as a return type. So if we are defining this kind of method, so what can do? So we can create one interface. We can create one interface, and we have to implement a particular interface, and we have to define the particularly method under the our interface. This is a speed, this is our this particularly two method will be defined under this particularly object, under this particularly object. under this particularly object. So you can see. So in this case, we are having multiple object. We don't have a single object, not a parent, a child, single layer. There is a multiple object is there. So BMW, Honda, Maruti, you can see. So our parent. So in this case, we are having interface, but interface is having on our top level under our parent level. So what we can do, we can apply our upcasting. So because of upcasting, so we can write your parent, not a class, it is a interface. So it is our interface. We can write. So we can write our car interface. If we are having car interface, so we our this particularly method can hold all the object detail. So it can hold BMW, it can hold Maruti, and our decision will be making at our runtime. So whenever we will call this particularly method, so based on condition, object will be created, and our particularly controller will jump. So I will call this particularly interface method. So based on condition, our BMW object will be created. So this is our BMW object, and this is our car reference variable. So if we are calling this BMW reference variable, so what will be happening? So this BMW object will be created. So if we are calling BMW car, real time project will work like this. Your decision will be dynamically because of dynamic binding. Java is a famous programming language. So if you are demanding BMW, so this method is calling. I have created one factory object. Factory object will return one object. So any method is return type is object type. It could be class, it could be interface, anything. Some reference should be written. It's called factory method. So based on condition, I will create the object. So object will be created, and it will be held by our parent, our interface reference variable. So this particularly, so we are demanding our BMW car. So our object will be creating like this. So this object will be created at this scenario. So we will call our interface speed method, but because of dynamic polymorphism, our controller will jump, and it will call our BMW object interface method. So when we will call this particularly program for our we are calling our BMW car detail. So BMW related detail will be there. So our runtime, we are calling our interface method. So you can consider upcasting. So we are calling our interface related method. So interface purpose for the specification. So interface, so we will specify the method and we will give some rules for our implementation class. So all the car company has to follow these rules. They has to implement their implementation with the help of the particularly interface method name. So under the our class level, we are writing parent and child, and we are writing performing method overriding. We are performing. So we are calling our parent class method, and controller are jumping to our child class. So it is fine under the method overriding, but in real time we don't use like this our dynamic polymorphism concept. We always achieve our dynamic polymorphism with the help of interface, where always we will give some definition under our car interface, and we will call whenever required, and decision making will be happening in runtime. So when we are demanding BMW object, so I have passed one identifier. So my this particular object will be created. I will refer with the help of reference variable, and I will call our interface method. So runtime my controller will jump, and at runtime we will achieve this particularly object detail. At if we are demanding our Honda, so I will pass this particularly Honda class. So I am demanding my Honda class object detail, but I am calling my interface reference variable. So what will be happening? This object will be created, and in this case, our Honda class object will be created. So we are calling reference variable of our interface, but your controller will jump, and your object related method will be called because of dynamic polymorphism. So if we have calling Honda, so our information you will see. So Honda related information you will get. If you are putting Maruti, so Maruti related information will be there. So what am I doing? I am creating the contract with the help of interface. So method name will be same, and we will call the contract, and we will pass some identifier. So according to that we are getting the information of the object. So while creating the object, we can create the object of anything, student, employee, anything, but real time project when we are working any domain. So according to that we have to do our smart programming, and we have to create programming like that. We have to use our oops concept. Our decision making should be dynamic. So runtime decision making will be there. Program should be loosely coupled. So there is a won't much impacted if we are changing anything in the program. If we are adding, if we are something we are implementing, extending. So we have to follow our oops principle. We have to follow solid principle. We have to follow microservices principle in current project scenario. So it is comes under our oops principle. So we are defining the interface, and we are defining implementation class. We are defining interface. We are defining implementation class. So interface will help you for achieving dynamic polymorphism, for making runtime decision. So just I have create one factory method for achieving dynamic polymorphism. So I have created this method. So while learning, this is a simple method, but in our this scenario, I have created one object. So multiple object will be there. So it is our factory. So like our what will be, so there is a one factory. So under the factory in real time, we just create some product under the our factory. So any factory is there, so it will create some product. So with the help of factory method, we can create the object. So we are having multiple object. So we have to call our factory method and we have to achieve a object as per our requirement. So factory method means what? We are having one method based on our requirement. We can achieve the object. It could be same class object. It doesn't matter, or it could be a or our different class object. But factory method always return our object. So object will be same type. So we can put under the our reference variable same object is there. If it is a different type, BMW is different, or Honda will be different, Maruti will be different. So we have to use our interface implementation concept, or we can use a class as well, our parent class and child class as well. So there is a no issue, we can use. But at real time system, we always write anything under the interface, and we implement the class, and always we try to get a particularly interface. So we will get this interface at a runtime. So object will be created, it will be held by interface reference variable, and we are calling our interface method. So at runtime, our controller will jump to the our implementation method. So accordingly, we will get the information. So if we want to get our Honda car information, so we will get our Honda related information. So we will design our backend system with the help of our programming syntaxes, our design pattern, our design principle. So based on that, we will write our backend related system. So according to that, our front end will work. So like I have explained, we are having the website cardekho.com. So I want to get the information of any car. So you will get a lot of car detail over there. So our object property will be same in the all the cars. So property will be same, but this is our engine, this is our power. So similarly, we have implemented like this. So our Honda, our Maruti. So we have created the contract. Contract means what? Our property will be same. So gear and speed, it will be same. So first we have to design like that. We are having this kind of properties. So all the cars you will see property will be same, just implementation will be different. The different car we are having with different information. So this decision will be making at runtime. When we will click any car, so we will get the detail of particularly car detail. So our backend system will call from the our front end system. So as a full stack development, we have to think like that. So our backend system will call. So we are trying to get information of this car. So back under the backend system, we will achieve the information. So a particular this factory method will be called, and according to that, we are will get this information, and we will send this information to our front end side. So our this is our backend system. So we have created the object like this, and we have put on some hard coded values. But real time system, we will get this information from the database. So I will call my database Oracle database, MySQL database, and I will achieve this information. And after achieving the information, I will prepare the response and I will send to the my front end technology. So where we are learning our front end technology. So with the help of HTML, CSS, I will show this information in a well mannered format. So end to end, we have to do lot of things. We have to learn the technology and at all the layers. But first we have to be strong in our backend system. Then we will go for our front end system. So with the help of interface, we are achieving dynamic polymorphism. So always we achieve dynamic polymorphism with the help of interface. It is a very important. You always see interface because interface will help us. So when we are creating the object, so we don't have to hold a particular object or reference. We have to hold our parent class, but we don't use parent class, we use parent interface. So a single interface will work for all the object and we have to call interface method. Our controller will jump and runtime and we will achieve the object detail at runtime. It is called dynamic polymorphism. So one concept is there, our upcasting and downcasting. If we want to, we are performing our downcasting. So if something is under our child class, if we want to get the information, so we have to apply downcasting. So this is our downcasting syntax. So downcasting we can perform, but upcasting should be upcasting will be implicitly. You can write this syntax directly, but for performing downcasting, first your object object should be applied with our upcasting. Without upcasting, we cannot performing downcasting. If upcasting is there, then we can perform downcasting. Direct downcasting we cannot perform. Upcasting means what? We are referring our parent class object. So our child class object detail we cannot get directly. So we should have some reference variable. So either we can create the object or we can perform downcasting of our child class object detail. So like this print method detail we cannot access with the help of parent reference variable. So we have performed downcasting. So for applying downcasting, upcasting should be there. We cannot perform downcasting directly. So it is about our upcasting and downcasting method, overloading method, overriding. So we are having few questions like we will apply this polymorphism our class to class. So class to class we can apply interface to class. So class could be our abstract class as well. And in the if we are implementing interface, so class to class we can achieve our dynamic polymorphism. So in this case, we have to perform method overriding. So we are rewriting the method is called overriding. Abstract class to class, so both are having the class. So we can perform method overriding or we can perform our implementation. So we can perform our implementation or overriding. as we know, under the abstract class, some classes will be undefined, some classes will be defined. So if we are implementing undefined class, so we are doing implementation. And if we are already our class will be there, our implementation will be there, so we have to perform overriding. But interface level, we can do only implementation. So with the help of interface, we can do only implementation. So class to class is a inheritance, abstract class to class is a inheritance, homogeneous things will be performing inheritance. But interface to class, it is calling implementation, and we have to use polymorphism at real-time system like this. Interface implementation, mostly we will use interface implementation related concept for getting the dynamic polymorphism. So at our API level, in the collection, in the JDBC, in the servlet, in the framework, always we call interface method runtime. At runtime, our implemented class method will be called because of dynamic polymorphism. So this concept is going to use at our technology level and our framework level. So we have to achieve dynamic polymorphism mostly with the help of interface. We can achieve class level, no issue, but we achieve with the help of interface, where some interface will be there and lot of implemented classes will be there. So we have to take a decision when we have to use this class, when we have to use this class. So I will explain this concept under our JDBC, under our servlet. So lot of things will be there. Because of this concept, our Java is a famous programming language because we can do our interface implementation. So our next oops concept comes under our abstraction. So abstraction means we have to hide implementation and we have to just expose the our particularly definition. So with the help of interface and with the help of abstract class, we can achieve a abstraction. So if you want 100% abstraction, then we have to use interface, and we you want 0 to 100%. So we can use abstract class. So something will be implementing, something is not implementing, so we can use our abstract class. But purpose is different. Abstract class purpose is different. Abstract class forcing you for inheritance, but interface purpose is for creating the specification or contract. So this thing will use at our application level abstract class, and it will force to the user for performing the inheritance. It is called abstract class. And interface, with the help of interface, we can create the contract. We can create the contract means what, we have to define some rule, and other vendor will following the our rule. So I will explain this thing under the our JDBC, under the our servlet, what we are getting the advantage. So abstract class purpose is very different. It is forcing for user to inheritance, and interface difference, interface for giving some specification, for giving some rule. So if I want to impose my rule for any vendor for creating the class method detail, so we will say you have to write your detail, but method name, the method name we will decide. So I will write one interface and I will give the interface, and those vendor have to implemented a particular method. So at our application level, like Swiggy, Zomato, so we will onboarding all the customer. So who are making the food. So we are defining some rule for the all the customer. So according to that, they will create their menu, their template. So we will provide some interface. So under the contract, we have to give something. So when we will develop some software, so in the form of interface, we will define our contract, our specification part. So according to that, they will implement it, their thing. So in this case, we have to use interface. An abstract class is the purpose is different. For inheritance level, we use our abstract class. So we will see this thing under our technology level and our framework level. So under the encapsulation, I have explained, sorry, under the word polymorphism, I have explained static and dynamic. Static means a method overloading. Same method you can use with different type of parameter or number of parameter. And one concept comes under the our method overriding. So we can, as a written type, we can write our parent class as well. Yesterday, someone has asked this question. So as a written type, we can write parent class as well. I will explain tomorrow this thing. So method overloading means same method will be there. So we have to do some smart programming. We don't have to write multiple method name based on the responsibility. You are creating multiple method. No, you have to try same method name. If a responsibility is different, so based on parameter or type of parameter, you have to be differentiated. So our method name should be same. So because behavior is same, so we have to apply method overloading so that we don't have to write a multiple method, and anybody can memorize, anybody can remember if method is same. Our psychology always say if we are trying to print something, so your psychology will say some print method will be there. Our human psychology. So something will be print a method in C language, in C++. So the responsibility for printing anything. So we will always find out this printer method. So we want to print a string, we want to print a integer. So lot of overloaded method will be there. So according to our psychology, human psychology, object-oriented programming language work as per our human psychology. So method overloading, method overriding. So under the method overriding, what we can do, we can re-implement the class into the our child class. And you have to perform upcasting. So with the help of upcasting, you will call parent method and your child will be called. But we don't have to use a method overriding related concept under our dynamic polymorphism. Always we have to use this concept, interface implementation. This will be used at your design pattern level, at our framework level, at your particularly technology level. This concept will be used, interface implementation. Your controller will jump at runtime. We will call a particular method, but runtime your controller will jump because different object will be there, will same category. For example, I have created object of our car class, BMW car and our Maruti car. So object category will be same. All the car we are getting the detail. So category will be same. So we have implemented one interface. I have defined my rule and I have put on. I told all the company, please follow my rule, implement this class. So I will call a particular object. So at runtime, my controller will jump and we will get the object detail as per our requirement. So we have to do programming like that. So we have written one factory method, and our under the our factory method, we don't have any specify class object reference variable. So we have put on interface reference variable because all the particularly class implemented by a particular interface. We are calling our interface method. So at runtime our object method will be called. So you can see we don't know which object will be called. We don't know. We are calling interface method. So at a runtime, it will be decided we are getting the response from which object. So we have applied some identifier, but if there is no implementation of Honda car, so we don't get the information. We will get null because we haven't implemented other car detail. We are putting some identifier, so we will get the detail. Otherwise, we won't get. All the things will be happening at runtime. So our software will work at runtime because of dynamic polymorphism runtime making decision. Our Java is a famous programming language, and straightforwardly we can achieve this thing with the help of oops concept. Otherwise, our older programming language we have to write a lot of syntaxes and lot of understanding will be there. But oops concept anybody can understand. So if you write some program, so you will get this thing day by day. We have to do same thing again and again. We have to write some interface. We have to write some implemented classes according to that. Our calling will be there. So this is all thing about our oops concept. So we will create some use case for our oops concept. So I will create some use case and I will put all the oops concept we have to write under the our programming. So we will put all the things together. So this is our oops concept. So we have to be strong our oops concept. So tomorrow I will explain again and then we will see our exception handling part. So after the exception handling, we are having API only like collection. So collection is a one API. A ready-made program is there. Just we have to understand our under threading concept. Ready-made API is there. Just we have to understand. But up to exception handling, everything we have to write. Syntactically, we are writing everything. So syntactically thing, every keyword, method, this oops concept we are achieving with the help of syntaxes like interface, our classes, abstract classes, final classes. So we are writing by own with the help of keyword and syntaxes. So up to exception handling, we will write our program with the help of syntaxes. But after that, we write the syntaxes, but already ready-made API will be there. Collection, threading, our IO, it is a API which is given by our Java community. Just we have to use in our programming. So ready-made things will be there. So why they have given this API? Because we cannot put much effort at our real-time system for our core things, like we have to maintain data structure. So in C language, C++ language, we have to write our own data structure first, then we uh, create our business logic as per our client requirement. We have to put extra effort for writing the data structure. But in the Java, we are having ready-made data structure. We can use a linked list, we can use array list directly. So we don't have to put extra effort. We have to focus upon our business logic. Threading concept is there, so we can do asynchronous programming. Multiple program will work simultaneously at same time. So we have to just follow the syntaxes. Otherwise, in C language, we have to put a lot of effort. Lot of function will be there, and there is no object oriented related things. So lot of complexity is there. So because of object oriented, we are having class and we have to do all that things with the help of class. It is very convenient for learning. Anybody can learn, anybody can understand if they are understanding this thing: dynamic polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, what is the purpose, how we are convenient if we are using this concept. So after the exception handling, we can learn more things simultaneously, like JDBC, Servlet, Spring Framework. But up to exception handling, you have to put lot of effort for understanding the language, understanding the fundamentals, understanding the your core part. In the interviewer round, your 50 to 60% interview will be depend on your fundamental. They will ask about a question your core Java knowledge only. They will evaluate you, then they will go for other round or other question apart from core Java. Otherwise, they will create their mindset. You have to be selected or not because of the core Java. So you have to put a lot of effort while learning the core Java. Under the advanced Java part or framework, nothing for you if you are strong with your core Java. So we will see this thing again and again. So I will explain again and again until you get the job. So I will support. So I am taking a break. So I will meet in 10 minutes for our front end related programming. And I will be available in a Newson office. So I let you know what timing. So I will put in the group. So then you can come if any issue. So we can see together in your system. So in our advanced programming, like we will learn a JDBC, Servlet, or Spring Framework. So you will face lot of challenges while installing the software, while writing the business logic. So we have to be communicated. So I will be available. So just ping me if you are facing any issue. So in the office we will see together, and all of the person will see together. So all the person will learn. So I will share my real time knowledge as well in offline mode. So I will send the timing when I will be available. Okay, thank you. So we will meet in 10 minutes.